Hi, thanks for joining me. In this video, I'm going to show you how I create an urban expression painting titled Blush. I'm going to use layers of washes to create amazing color combinations, and then I'm going to use blending, shading, and highlighting to give it a really nice three-dimensional look. I hope you like this. Okay, we're going to transfer this image that I put together onto this 4-foot square canvas and give us a rough idea of what we're going to be doing. Okay, that's going to get me close enough. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do here is I put a little Payne's Gray, something I mixed up myself. It's very simple, Mars Black and Ultramarine Blue. Mix them together, get it to where you want. You don't want to use black, solid black at all. But mix up a really dark Payne's Gray, a little bit of medium, and we're going to start turning our pencil lines into brush strokes. One thing we do want to do is we're going to have to keep track of our composition. That's very important. We're going to stay on our quarters and our thirds. You know, like I explained in one of the in the Fundamentals DVD. Divide your canvas up into quarters and thirds. Follow those lines, and that'll give you some good composition. Stay out of the center. Or don't put an emphasis on the center anyway. This, by the way, is my number 25 Filbert brush. I used to buy them. I couldn't get one the right size, so I traded this one. The 25 is just downsized enough, and the handle's a little bit longer. For me, it works really good, especially when you're applying it to this. This doesn't have to be perfect. One of the beauties of acrylic paint anyways, you can make tremendous amount of changes. I like to step back from time to time and just take a quick glance at what I'm doing. It's hard when you're standing this close to a large canvas to be able to see the overall. This is going to be so much fun, and I'm really looking forward to when you can start blending and shading and turning this image into color. Okay, I'm going to have to add some image in here. Purpose of that being, I don't like to work with even numbers, and I had four faces in here. Here's number 5. Okay, I'm going to put some of this. Now we're going to set the drawing aside. We're going to start fine-tuning this a little bit. This is going to appear to get a little clumpy, but in actuality, I'm going in afterwards with titanium white. We're going to trim off these lines to make them a little nice and neat. So in order to do that, the Payne's Gray has got to be put on a little bit thicker than it's actually going to be. You get a lot of good movement out of the lines when you trim them off with the white. Okay, I'm mixing the Payne's Gray with a lot of medium. Keeps from getting the dry brush. Okay, I'm going to let this dry up now. Then we're going to come back, we're going to take the titanium white and we're going to trim out these lines. You'll see what I mean when we do it. It's great. You can give a lot of depth and perspective to an image just by the line getting smaller and bigger. Makes it come forward and back. You'll see what I mean when we do it, okay? Okay, the Payne's Gray is all dry. Put some titanium white on the palette. A lot of medium. Now we can start trimming off these lines. I'm going to use my 25 and 35 filbert brush for this. Let's start right over here. Yeah, start off thin. Make the Payne's Gray, we're making it thin up here, and as it comes down, it's going to get thicker. It makes it appear to come forward. Okay, here I'm using the existing brush stroke that I put in, which had a little flare to it, and I'm just exaggerating that flare. Same thing with this one here. I'm going to cut down and curve it around. This takes some time, but it's good practice too. You don't have to worry about making a mistake. Always keep a flat brush wet. You can clean that right out. I have a lot of fun with this. See how I just curved that out? Now all of a sudden that bottom lip starts to look round. Just by adjusting the shape and thickness of the line. Now this chin, I can cut this back here. As you can see, you still have some shadows from the Payne's Gray showing through. We're going to have to go in again in some areas and go over the white a second time. You see how we just formed that bottom lip? I can make that thing do anything I want, up, left, just by changing the shape and the design of the line. Like here, the top edge. We'll cut that right around. Come right down the side and fold it in a little bit. Now I just gave that face an expression just by adjusting the shape of the lips and all the features. And if you need to make some adjustments, that's where the wet brush comes in. See, that line's a little bit too even. I don't like that. There we go. Same thing here. Even here I've got a rough edge. Instead of rounding it or anything, I can just cut that off to give it direction. And we're going to thin that out a little bit right up on top. See, it kind of bends the face a little bit. Now I have a 90-degree bend here, which I don't like. I need it tilted down a little bit. It's following through with the side of the face like a cheekbone. So to do that, that's where a nice thick line comes in handy, because I'll start up here and cut down. See, so it's got a little flip to it. You have to be a little bit cautious as you're adding medium into the titanium white. It makes it transparent, so you just use as little as possible. You don't want it so dry that you can't cut a clean line, but you don't want so much medium in there that it won't cover the black. Okay, now we're at a point where you can see the difference between the rough sketch with the black lines, how they're heavier and so on, and why I put them on there. They need to be heavy so I can do this. Okay, if that was all scratchy, like spotted and rough, it would make creating these lines smooth very difficult. Okay, so anyway, now you can see what we had here, and now we're taking the titanium white, going in and changing the shape and the direction of these lines and giving them a little bit more movement and so on. That's going to help us out once we start putting color on. Everything contributes to creating depth and perspective and so on, and it's all done with both color, value, direction, size, all those things that kick in, that'll give this painting a really nice three-dimensional appearance and give some really good expressions in these faces. You know, here you can see this face in the background. Okay, we're making these lines a little bit thinner than the ones that are in the front. I make them thinner. They look like they're farther away. It's going to put that face behind the other one. Okay, so that's pretty much it at this point. We penciled our drawing on. We went over it with the Payne's Gray, put some nice heavy black lines, took the titanium white, trimmed the lines off. So now we've created a little bit of depth and perspective. We've given some form, shape, and expressions to these faces, okay? Now I'm going to go over this one more time with titanium, and then we'll be ready for color. Okay, so here we are. I went ahead and redid the titanium white, cleaned up the edges, and tried to cover up the black lines as best I can. And I think we're just about ready to start applying some paint. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with some cerulean blue. I'm going to wet my brushes down a little bit with lots of medium because I just love using this stuff, and I'm going to create a cerulean blue wash. This is just to get us started. And I think we're going to start right here. I prefer to use a blue for creating depth because blue has a tendency to go back, but you can play with it. I like to use my number 50 brush just for doing a large area blending. You got to keep it moving. Because as we all know, acrylic paint dries quickly. Down here we're just going to blend it out because we're going to come in with another color, and that'll also be a wash, so that's going to overlap this and give us some really nice variations in colors. But you'll see. Now I'm also going to start with number 3, but instead of starting at the top and fading down, we're going to start at the bottom and fade up. I have to hold the canvas a little bit with this brush because a large canvas loves to bounce. Even heavier fabric than on the normal size canvases. Okay, we're going from dark to light and from dark to light. The reason for this is to create variation. You don't want everything looking exactly the same. I don't want 5 images, 5 faces with the exact same appearance. That's not what I'm trying to accomplish with this particular piece. So we're creating variations. By the way, this is the best part in my opinion. Love the drawing, love creating the design, but I really like putting on the color. And the way I'm doing it is I'm doing it in washes. So we're overlapping colors that are transparent, and the variety of color you're going to get is unbelievable. While this is drying, I'm going to move on to the next color, which is going to be an earth tone. I'm going to start out with yellow ochre, and then I'm going to move to raw sienna. Yellow ochre you have to be careful with. Very, very potent color. You put a little dab in there, and boy, you can cover the whole canvas with it. So you have to be very careful. And it's a very overwhelming color, and it's a difficult color to make a wash with because it's so opaque. So we're going to very, very sparingly apply some yellow ochre just for highlighted areas, and then we're going to go back in and use raw sienna, which is just the opposite. It makes a great wash, and you have to put a lot of it on to cover. But it's a good color, and it's a nice medium, value-wise, it's a nice mid-range earth tone. So we're going to do this next. A little more medium. Okay, now we're going to start out here with the yellow ochre, like I said, carefully. A lot of medium because, boy, this is just potent. Okay, now because this face is backed in 3/4 into this face, this side of it's going to be the shadow side, this is going to be the lighter side. So right here is where we're going to draw in this yellow ochre. Okay. While you're applying these colors, because we're using washes, you're going to have to keep, while you're putting this on, you have to be thinking not about the color you're using, but the color you're trying to accomplish once you apply a wash on top of a wash. Let's say I wanted this to be green down here, certain shades of green. I'm putting on the yellow ochre, then I would put, oh, let's say a cerulean blue. I would put a cerulean blue wash on top of that, it would turn green. Okay, so when I'm putting this on, I'm thinking about the next wash that I'm going to be putting on and what color it's going to give me. Putting one solid color on.